Well, this one's gonna need a trigger warning.
Welcome back, Gob Squad.
Thank you for tuning in. My name is Liz.
And this is... Shit, what's my name? And this is Sorrel. We are currently house sitting. We are in our friend's house, and it's wonderful here. We're out in nature, and this was supposed to be a relaxing 4 days. But something popped up on my TikTok feed.
Something that's very alarming, so we want to extend a lot of trigger warnings for this video.
List will be here.
Please read this list. It's on the screen this time and not in the description, because you really need to see this, and we need you to be aware of what this video contains.
And we will be censoring ourselves a lot. So if you hear silences or pauses or things are cut out, just know that it's because YouTube does not want us talking about this.
Exactly. But this is something really important that we wanted to kind of alert people of.
Because when stuff goes down in our community, and even if it's a small creator in our community that barely anybody has heard of, and this only came across my feed because somebody else was talking about it not in our community, we like to call it out because it's inappropriate and gross, and we should be on the lookout for these types of people. They are not what this community stands for.
Right, this is a definite outlier for parents with dissociative identity disorder. Like, we were frankly alarmed by the entirety of the contents of this video because this is unacceptable, period.
Like, we are both uncomfortable talking about this, but it needs to be spoken about. So, without further ado, this TikTok creator has D.I.D or some sort of fragmentation, and two times worked with children while being two children, and didn't quit once they realized that they were to children.
And then they ended up becoming a parent, which is very concerning, as you will see. I'm going to try to remain professional throughout this video, but I may get angry.
Rightfully so.
Like, witnessing this as parents ourselves who are diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, both of us, and we can't even conceptualize having an attitude or behavior like this. And unfortunately, with this much coverage that's going on, I worry that people might assume the worst of all parents with D.I.D because of what they've endured in their past. When in reality, this is a very small percentage, but unfortunately one that we fear is going to gain a lot of eyes and assumptions to go with them.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump right in.
This one's going to be triggering for people. It will. It will. Okay. Alright. So, there's something about my path, my journey, that, I'm not necessarily, like, secretive about. Everyone in my life knows, about it. Because I'm compulsively honest. And open, and yeah. But I know that, like, saying it publicly.
One thing, if you were compulsively honest and open, you would have been that way with the places you were working, and they would not have hired you.
Valid point.
Publicly. There's gonna be like backlash, and I'm like, that's only because people don't understand.
It's not because people don't understand. It's because this is disgusting behavior. And if you feel this way, you should seek help.
Help is definitely encouraged.
And I'm like, well, I can explain from my perspective. Some people are gonna get it, and some people are not. Some people are gonna look for reasons to hate when that's not really necessary. But that's just what people do, and it depends on what part of their journey they're at, I suppose. Depends on what they've personally gone through and what wounds they haven't healed yet. And I know that other people's response to things isn't about me. It's about them and what they're going through. So
it's 100% about you.
What we hear is somewhat of a deflection, deflecting their feelings and things that they should be concerned about onto other people, saying it's their problem and not something that this person is intrinsically dealing with.
I'm gonna try not to let like fear of being misunderstood by random people that I don't even know stop me from being honest and telling my story. So here goes, I guess. Controversial topic. So when you hear that word,
it should not be controversial. It should not be controversial. If you feel this way and you don't want to feel this way, seek help. It's a real disorder, yes. But seek help. Don't be around children.
There are versions of OCD that can forcefully put those thoughts into your head, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of help that's available for those things so they don't influence your actions and behavior towards your surroundings.
If your mind automatically jumps to that is not the same thing. Okay, and let me just explain what I mean by that. Technically, if you get down to it, we're talking about the meaning of words here, and the definition of someone who has an attraction to children, but and I suppose because there's not that much like clarification around the fact that there's different attraction. There's like love attraction, and then there's sexual attraction. So
there should be no attraction.
There should be no attraction, but unfortunately there are quite a few micro labels that individuals like this one have used to describe their specific feelings. And then this individual, we're not certain what pronouns they use.
They, them, she, her, him.
All of the above?
Yep.
Okay. But since we are looking at this through a D.I.D. kind of lens, we're going to just go with they, them as a collective. Because they do mention their D.I.D. in it, but a lot of the other creators haven't really brushed on it or misinterpreted the specific lingo that people with dissociative disorders tend to use.
Which is part of the reason why we're touching on this video.
Right, but I digress. This person did mention that there is a difference between offenders but didn't go so far as to actually describe what those differences are.
I think they touch on it a little bit. Let's keep watching.
I don't really know if it's just about sexual attraction or if it was about love attraction. Because, yeah. But the thing is that these people, they can choose, obviously, whether or not they're going to act on the thoughts, desires, and stuff they have, right? So you're whether you act on them or not, right? So that's not something that people can really control. If you're attracted to whoever you're attracted to, right?
So they're not separating the difference between SOs and PDFs. They are referring to offending versus non-offending, which is definitely different. By the way, this is Tails. He is one of their cats, and he is the friendliest of boys.
The first time that I came over here, he jumped on my back.
He has opinions too.
So, my story is about I think I realized that the definition, I'm pretty sure, I think is just like an exclusive attraction to children, which is not what's going on with me. That's not what's going on with me. I'm attracted to, well, I wanted to sleep with some dude in his 60s. Like, age isn't a thing for me, in either direction.
That's disgusting.
And that does not negate the initial statements.
And also all the smirking and smiling. I get that uncomfortable things, talking about them, can bring weird expressions, like us joking around a little bit during this video because this is a very uncomfortable topic. But you're smirking while talking about being attracted to children. That's disgusting. Like, I will judge you. I will judge you. I don't care. I am what our system considers a horrid person, but I will judge you.
I'm trying to keep my composure. Well, like, being a mom, I'm already so concerned.
Like, being a parent has definitely opened our eyes to a lot of different things, and this is just... Ugh. Like, we wanted to throw up the first time we saw this video.
And they sent it to us when we were at work, and we just had to sit there and not, like, absolutely table flip about this. We hope that Australian CPS is good.
100%.
To say the least.
And you'll see why further in the video.
But, in saying that, let me explain how I figured out all of this. Okay? Don't hate me yet. Finish the video, okay? Fuck. Alright. So, when I was 17, I started doing this course. It was the childcare course. It was a childcare course. So, I did that. I did all of the theory stuff. So it was super fucking easy. It was all really easy. And then, when it came time to do prac, yeah, when I went to prac, there was this boy in one of the classes that I was in. He was like 4 or 5 or something, but he kept saying that he loved me, and I got huge butterflies. I got huge butterflies when I saw him, and
it should have ended there. Once they realized something, they were feeling something, it should have ended there.
Exactly. That's when you step back and speak to someone who is not yourself about your feelings, such as a professional, so you can get the help that's required. And this is them talking about when they were 17, about a 5-year-old.
A 4 or 5-year-old. They're not really sure. A toddler.
Basically. And even if you're underage, you shouldn't be looking at small children like that. That's not normal.
Not normal at all. It should have ended there. Let's just say that.
I wasn't coping at all with the fact that I was having these feelings. It was fucking with my head so much. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What does this mean? What does this mean about me? What is this? What's gonna happen? Like, what do you mean? Yeah. So, because I was not coping with that, I kind of stopped going to the daycare for the prac. I needed some time. I needed to process what the fuck was happening in me. But that's the thing, on the last day that I was there, no, I ended up having a break for way too long, and they were like, you can't come back now. You missed it.
But there's no mention of them seeking help there. Processing things like that completely on your own can lead you to some very dangerous and strange corners of the internet where thoughts like that can be encouraged.
There's a whole community called MAPS. That's probably where they ended up, honestly. I can't even remember what MAPS means, but I do know there's a community that labels themselves as such that are attracted to children. And they all come together for the love of children. It's gross. I imagine that's where they ended up. That's speculatory, but
Speculatory.
I imagine that's where they ended up.
But it would make sense given the type of verbiage used.
Missed it. Can't complete the course. And I'm like, okay, I accept this. That is fine, I suppose. But the last day that I was there, I came in to work, so excited to see him. But that day, he called me a poopy head, and I cried so hard. I was so devastated that he was calling me a poopy head.
And the tone there is concerning because it doesn't show that they were in any way unsettled by these feelings. It seems as though they're talking about a past crush that they still have feelings for.
The emotion on their face looks like they're remembering it with fondness and feeling the heartbreak all over again.
Exactly.
It's gross. And also, a 5-year-old calling somebody a poopy head is normal child behavior. Like that, kids do that.
Kids do that.
Poopy head. I was so sad. I was like, he doesn't like me anymore. And it took me a few years after that before I realized that was a child alter inside me. That was one of my child versions of myself that was having a crush.
It's the first time they mention their alter, and nobody on the internet really knows, other than our tight-knit community, unless they've seen like Padilla's video. They don't really know the lingo that we use, but I caught it right away.
This is them talking about one of their alters, and in kind of hidden language, so it doesn't really sound like it to outside ears.
But also pushing the blame on a child alter, like...
Which is where we circle back around to the theme of system accountability.
There's going to be a few videos about system accountability at this point. I think it's an important topic to retouch on.
Right, it seems to be something that's not addressed as much as it should be, unfortunately, and it can lead to validation of statements like this.
And there's so many new young systems on TikTok right now, and I feel like
lot.
hopefully they travel over YouTube and view videos like this because we want to help them feel comfortable in the community and also learn the things that are necessary for being a system and learning accountability for alter actions.
Yeah, and to know what else can be out there, because going onto the internet with mental health issues like this can be a very vulnerable place and full of unknowns.
All right, we'll keep going, keep trucking.
Having a crush on this boy. It wasn't like adult parts of me, but there's still like this confusion because like my body was 17 at the time, so I'm like, does that mean that there's a 17-year-old in me who feels that way? Where technically a 17-year-old is still a kid, but no. But no, right? Yeah, so it took me a few years to like forgive myself for even having those feelings, because now I realize, oh, it was a part of me that was like the same age as him that felt that way.
For me, there should be no forgiving yourself for having those feelings. None whatsoever. You should have sought help. You should have talked. This video should have been brought to your therapist, and you said all these things to your therapist, not to the internet.
Exactly. Record it and take it to your therapist.
Because, no, you should not forgive those feelings if you're having them. You should seek help for them and stay away from children. Okay.
That way. And that's not to say, that is not to say that I think that it's okay for me in an adult body.
In any body.
To follow through with anything. Because that's not a thing. It's not a thing. So, I mean...
It is a thing, and that's an issue.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was obviously abused by someone. I know my brother was doing stuff to me when I was 8, but I was doing stuff with my female friends earlier than that, and I'm not sure where I learned it. And there's this stuff about the babysitter that could be a thing, but honestly, if I'm being completely honest, there's been a whole lot of breadcrumbs about it being my dad that was abusing me. So
Your abuse is not an excuse for furthering the abuse. We're all about breaking cycles here and getting help. This is going to be a theme of the video, is seeking help, because otherwise it's going to be a vile video and one of us just cussing this person out. So we just want to get help. Get help. Hopefully CPS is on this case.
Yeah, even with trauma like that, with or without thoughts of doing criminal activities with those whom are underaged, like after trauma like that, you should be in therapy, like to work these things out as they arise, like as soon as you become aware of it. I'm in the middle of a switch. I do not mean to have it be a switch cut on camera. But we have very strong feelings about this.
Trust me, it's taking everything for me not to let Ashley just go ape on this person. And I might, in the last bit of the video, just let Ashley just cuss at the camera for a little bit.
Yeah, this is Father Randall, and I have very strong feelings too.
Good.
And that's a lot of makeup.
We're gonna have to deal with it.
We're rolling with it.
So there's that. But anyway, moving on. After the childcare course, I tried to do a teacher's aid course. I just wanted to, cause like that part of me went away, and I was normal again. And I was like, okay, we need a job, we need to study. I'm great at communicating with kids, just because I become a kid a lot of the time.
So they knew a part of them had these feelings towards children and still went back into childcare.
Even if an alter does disappear who has ideas and such like that, that still needs to be addressed and processed and worked through.
And when you say you become a kid around kids, that doesn't excuse that type of behavior. Like, at all. Doesn't matter that you're a kid in an adult body. That's disgusting.
This is a good point to mention once again, system accountability. Like, if one part of you holds those feelings, then a part of you has those feelings. So it's not completely something that's separate from yourself.
Because even though we are separate identities that are... We're all part of the same brain. That means your brain has those feelings. Sure, a part of you is holding those feelings, but that's still a part of you. That's still your brain.
Exactly. Those feelings and thoughts still exist within your brain, even if it seems to have disappeared momentarily.
That's where that comes from. I can see from a child's perspective, because I have a child's perspective a lot of the time. So I went to TAFE, I did the teacher's aid course, and they assigned me to kids around 5 or 6. So again, all of the work was easy and it's fine. But then when I went to go do the prac, I was there for a week or maybe a few days or something, and I didn't get any feelings for anyone. But
it sounds like they were expecting to. You shouldn't have feelings at all.
Besides wanting to care for the kids in your care. That's it. Keep them safe. Provide their basic needs.
A desire to nurture and help. Not some weird summer camp crush type of...
The memory of that happening kept haunting me, and I kept being afraid that I would develop some feelings for someone. So I stopped going to that prac as well, and I failed that course as well, just because of fear that I would feel something. But then I'm like, I see all of this stuff in the news now about like childcare workers doing bad things, and I'm like, how could they do that? Like, when I thought that I was going into a line of work where I might even potentially like traumatize someone, I couldn't do it.
So they got part of the process of stopping this behavior is removing yourself from the situation, but then that is supposed to be followed up with help from a professional who is certified in these types of situations.
But also, it took you a second time of going into that exact same environment to say no. Like, you see all these news articles, and that would have been you.
Like, we do see some remorse from this individual, but at the same time, we're not seeing accountability or the proper actions being taken following thoughts and feelings like this.
And it's almost like they're acknowledging that something would have happened if they hadn't gotten out. But then they went and had a child.
I wish we were lying.
People go into work knowing that they're going to like, I don't, so yeah, so when I was a kid, obviously someone and it made my life so fucking hard because it changed the way that I see things. I assumed that all of my, like, fragmentation is because of trauma. I know that it's like an accumulation of trauma from multiple different lifetimes and from like genetics. I know that it's all of that as well.
Yes and no.
Different lifetimes and genetics.
Oh, lifetimes? I thought they said lifestyles.
No, they said lifetimes.
Wait. And did we mention they get quite spiritual in this video as well?
I almost feel like it's a psychosis. Because, you know, there's some people that get religious psychosis. And we'll get more into that in more of this video because they go more onto it when they talk about their child. But I do feel like there is partial, like, spiritual psychosis going on here.
It could be. Not to armchair diagnose, but some of these things mentioned don't exactly sound like dissociative symptoms. We are very highly familiar with dissociative disorder symptoms, and some of these don't sound quite like the criteria, even. And they do mention fragmentation, and yes, that is because of trauma. But at the same time, that trauma and the fragmentation does not absolve any guilt.
As well. But I was always adamant that someone did something to me and made me the way that I am, and I struggle. I find life really fucking hard. I don't know. I mean, not when I'm following God and the universe and the guidance and the intuitive hits and all of the puzzle pieces and breadcrumbs. Like, life is so fun and exciting when you do that, and it takes you places that you didn't expect, and then you meet people that give you energy that you didn't expect, and you get information, and it's all fucking amazing. But I didn't expect that my path would lead me to ascension. I expected that my path would just be struggle the entire time. So I did not want that for anyone else. And even now, knowing that it's like led me to the point of going through an ascension journey, that's not. See, I've learned some things about myself.
What kind of ascension are you referring to here? Having these thoughts still actively, as you'll see, is not a sign of someone who's been through ascension. Like, speaking as both practiced pagans here, there is that does not appear to be an ascended person.
And this is what I was kind of talking about with the religious psychosis, because they think they've achieved something that they have not.
Exactly.
And they're chasing a high. That's what it sounds like to me, because they're talking about how it's so exciting to follow God and follow the breadcrumbs and go into ascension and all these things, life gets really exciting and fun.
It's interesting that you caught that. I think I keep getting too caught up on individual sentences.
But yeah, it's almost like they're chasing a high.
It kind of sounds like it. And ascension seems to sound like a state of mental being, like an emotion in a way, instead of an actual state of existence. That I'm not seeing ascension here.
About myself.
Throughout this whole thing. When I was younger, I tried to convince myself that if anything were to ever happen between me and someone underage, it would be because they approached me about it, and they were very adamant about it, and they seem to know exactly what they want, right? I don't see things that way anymore. Because
Therapy?
my son has been really creepy with me lately.
Not therapy.
No, not therapy. Not in the slightest.
I've had to, and I've felt uncomfortable, and I've had to be like, no, this is not a thing.
Okay, so before we get into the rest of this, I'm going to play a long bit of this, but it took your son.
Additional trigger warning.
It took your son to show you that you're not feeling that way anymore. When obviously you are, because you talked and reminisced about you being 17 and having a crush on a 4 or 5 year old. Like, obviously you still have those feelings. It's disgusting. But it took your son.
Not a professional. Not any medication or medical assistance.
Someone go get that child.
Australian CPS.
Anyway, we're going to play a long bit of video, and then we're going to cover a few things.
Like, he's 4 now, so, but, like, for instance, he sometimes, like he tries to watch me get dressed or whatever. If he catches me, he will mention my boobs. Yesterday, he walked up to me and he just, like, reached up and was about to just fucking double me. And I was like, no. I have creepy trauma with my grandfather. And he, like, I feel like I'm being traumatized by my son trying to lift up my shirt, and that's right, he fucking just crawled up on my bed when I was trying to relax, and he grabbed the same boob that my granddad, and it was creepy, and it felt like he was being possessed, and I was like, what the fuck? And there was one time where he was trying to, like, but it was the same day, it was the same time, it was within the same time frame, and he tried to he was, like, giving me raspberries on my belly and stuff, but then, like, when he did it, his energy was shifting, and he didn't feel like him anymore, and he felt like someone was controlling him, and I was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? And then he, I think, it's like he, like, started to go lower, and I was like, no, like, what are you doing? And then he, like, crawled up and me, and then like, I don't want, I'm like, what are you doing? And I realized that I was wrong the whole time, even if the child would try something with me, I wouldn't feel comfortable with it, and I would.
So that was a lot.
There is a lot to unpack there.
And take a break if you need to, take a breather, because this is one we had to put down and pick up a few times, because oh my god.
I want to start off by saying everything they are describing is normal child behavior. The groping, it has to be corrected because kids are curious about bodies. That happens, but it needs to be corrected. But the raspberries, the watching you get dressed, everything like that, for a 4-year-old, that's just wanting to be around mom. That is legitimately just wanting to be around mom.
And behaviors over time do need to be corrected, but it doesn't have to be a big scary thing. You can just be like, no, we don't do that. No hands to yourself. Teach them the private parts song. It's not that hard.
And those things should have started way early, like 2 years old. Of, these are private parts. We don't touch private parts. Like, nobody touches anywhere on your body. Nobody touches anywhere on my body. Like, we don't do that. And that should have been taught ahead of time. There should not be any of this going on. And for this to be going on, how long was it going on for?
Exactly. And this is definitely someone who is not healed or not attempting to work on themselves actively in the ways that they should, because they were so obviously taken aback and put into some sort of flashback state that they couldn't react at all to what was happening around them, and probably looked at their child with some sort of terrified expression. And, you know, being triggered by your children is something that does indeed happen. For example, our son, when we were holding him the other day, whacked me in the windpipe. If you know anything about us from this channel, it feels like we're being choked if anything touches our windpipe, basically. And our reaction, we went, whoa, and readjusted him. It can be that easy. And then we moved on with cooking dinner.
But your child is not victimizing you. Your child is not making you a victim. That is your trauma speaking, and that has nothing to do with your child. Children
don't think like that on their own.
And if he is thinking like that, somebody
did something to him to make him think about those things, because children don't naturally come across those kind of thoughts or intentions behind their actions.
Exactly. Why did it take your child doing something that made you uncomfortable to say, I wouldn't do anything with a child?
That should have been the immediate thought when those thoughts first started. The immediate conclusion is, oh, that's not okay to do. That is not something that I should ever think about happening in my life.
And the fact that, like, they're justifying some of this behavior or trying to rationalize, there's no rationalizing with, like, there's not. You should not be rationalizing the thoughts, feelings, emotions that go along with it. It's not rational.
It is not rational. These are not rational thoughts to have, and they shouldn't be normalized.
Stop it, and push it away. And I was just like, what the fuck? But you know the creepiest part about that time? Right after that, he crawled up to me and he whispered in my ear, I'm your sister. And my sister has been I've been getting all of these messages saying that my sister's been using all of these, like, all this dark magic or something, and trying to twist everything against me, and doing these rituals and stuff, and trying to, like, put cursed items and stuff in with all of my belongings because it was at the house that she was in.
We believe in dark magic, but this is 100% not possession. Like, I just hope the child is safe.
Oh, yeah. And if you were experiencing such concern with your spiritual well-being because of magic your sister may have been doing, do protection spells.
Or go seek guidance from somebody that, you know, does magic. If not everyone believes in magic, but if you believe in magic and you believe that somebody is putting something dark against you, go seek help from somebody that can actually help you with that. But also, don't put that on your son.
Don't put that on your son. He is a, 4-year-old who is literally just being a 4-year-old and not knowing how his own actions are interpreted.
Kids are gonna be kids. I can't explain the I am your sister. I feel like that might have been like a trauma thing. Sometimes our alters plant memories to make it seem different than it was. That does happen. So it's like a safeguard for us sometimes, where things don't have to be the way that they were, and it makes processing trauma a lot harder sometimes because it puts blame on somebody else that wasn't actually doing what they were doing. In this case, it sounds like a displacement memory to make it different. I don't know exactly.
It makes sense though, like a projection of one's own experiences and fears, the brain projecting that onto someone else. Like over here, we don't do that as much. We more so have the issue of watering down memories and having multiple versions to process.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh.
That is memory projection.
I thought it was more of the omission of details.
No, when you have multiple memories, that's projection to try and make it harder to figure out which one's real.
Like all of this random crazy shit, right? And the fact that I thought that I felt like he was being controlled, and then he whispered, "I'm your sister," to me. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what the actual fuck? Okay, what the actual fuck? Yep. So that's that. So that's the opposite kind of child.
It is not the opposite of CSA. This is a child being a child that doesn't know any better, and it's your job to teach them better. But it shouldn't be your job, because you shouldn't be around children.
No, it is not the opposite of that. That would require the person doing those things to have those intentions, which a child would not.
Or the capacity to understand what they're doing. Like, that it... A 4-year-old, sounds like this would happen in the past, that maybe a 3-year-old doesn't have the brain capacity to actively try to do something like that, unless something happened to them.
We would hope for the safety of this child that they are speaking about that did not happen. CPS.
Now I feel traumatized. But that means that my sister is trying to fucking manipulate things spiritually to, I don't know, to turn me into what she's telling everyone that I already am. it's gross and I don't like it. So yeah, living with the knowledge that I feel that attraction that I sometimes just can't control, and it fucks with my head, knowing that I can't act on it, and apparently I don't.
Before they say this next part, the fact that you can't act on it, so it means you want to.
And mentioning that they can't control it implies that they're going to lose control of the restraint that they have over themselves at some point, given the circumstances, which is an active danger to any child that comes around this individual.
And they're gonna go on to say that they don't want to, and I'm just gonna say that's with your own child. Like, it's very obvious with the way you talked about your experience as a 17-year-old that you want to. It's so blatant and in your face.
I mean, I don't want to. I definitely know I don't want to with my own children. That's the thing, because I've been traumatized by the mere notion of it. It's really hard to know that that's just what happens in your brain naturally, and people hate you for it, and you can't help it, and you don't even like it.
I just want to say I don't hate people that think this way. I hate people that don't seek help, because you can't control the fact that you have those thoughts, but what you can do is you can go to therapy, you can get help, you can stay away from children and not put yourself in a position to feel any emotion towards children, to keep everyone safe, because you know this about yourself.
Exactly.
So I don't hate people that have these thoughts. I hate the people like this person that do not seek help, that continuously puts themselves in the path of children, continuously tries to experiment with these thoughts and feelings and emotions, and it took their child to make them feel like they didn't want to act on those notions. They obviously do. But those are the people that we hate. It's disgusting that people have these thoughts and feelings and emotions. But I have a respect for the people that actually say, nope, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to put anybody at risk. I'm going to separate myself from children, and I'm going to get help.
Exactly. It's a respectable action to be able to remove yourself from these situations and to acknowledge what's going on in your own brain, and then getting yourself the proper care for what is going on. But to just let yourself be an unchecked trauma response and drag your child into it is not okay whatsoever.
And, you know, I just hate all the calls to violence against. And we don't all fucking...
It's the ones that don't seek help that people seek violence against. Because the ones that do get help aren't on the internet spilling the tea.
Do shit, Johnny, and if it's exclusive distraction, then that's not it. You know what I mean? So I get triggered when people talk about, like, hunting down all the fucking pedos and killing them and stuff, and I'm like, do you know how much these people struggle within their own minds with themselves? Do you know how much they would have to... Do you know how much shame there would be? Do you know how much they would have to hide about themselves from everyone just to feel accepted? Do you know?
It shouldn't be accepted.
This is not something that should be normalized in any community or with anyone that you speak to.
Dimitri's crying. We're gonna finish this clip and then we'll be right back.
Like, it's not a path that you choose, and it's not an easy one either. So it kind of like breaks my heart knowing that there are other people out there similar to me that can't control that feeling but can control their actions, but they're still hated even though they have top tier self-control.
Self-control seeming to be a very loosely used term here, because this person not once but twice put themselves in a career path that would have them working with children at all hours of their shifts, and then proceeded to have a child of their own, which doesn't sound very self-controlling to me.
And the fact that their family knows, like, have the whole family checked out, especially with all the trauma dumping they did about everything that happened to them. Have the entire family checked, because it doesn't sound like any of them are going to be safe around children.
Full investigation. But this is where the video cuts off. It appears as though the original uploader has deleted this video from their TikTok profile. They do talk a bit about their dissociative disorders, but also a lot about spiritual things, and along with showing their children excessively on the internet.
Like, don't do that. That's why we have Nicolas Cage.
This is all you will see of our beautiful son.
Because of people like this.
Exactly.
We will not be putting him in daycare. He will most likely not be going to school, maybe kindergarten. That's on the table. That might be on the table. But this is why.
This is exactly why we don't trust daycares.
Because you don't know. They could seem like everyday people. Their profile, I keep wanting to call it a channel, but their profile is seemingly normal. I wouldn't have been tipped off, except for I just saw this come across my TikTok page today. As I was scrolling, it popped up on my For You page, and I was like, we have to make a video.
But people with thoughts and urges like this do work in many fields that involve children and being around them excessively. So if you're parents watching this, keep an eye out for who your child is around and how they behave towards your children. Follow up with your kids and ask them how they are, and make sure everything is okay. And if it doesn't seem like it's okay, get help for your child. I wish they'd done that for us.
I say every child should be in therapy, just because it's their first time experiencing life, and life is hard. And being in therapy, or even just counseling in general, can, help them deal with the day-to-day life, but it can also catch things like this that maybe you wouldn't have caught as a parent, because when you ask, I don't know, a 7-year-old, how was your day? They say, oh, great, I just played on the playground. It was fun, And, you don't catch everything that happens because you're not diving into it. And, I mean, as a parent, you should be, but we get into these nuances where things just become a habit, and you say, how are you? And then the other person says, good, I'm great. And in reality, that person's not great. And that's just, day-to-day life too, asking friends and whatnot how they are, and knowing when they're lying. Mm-hmm. But we see that all the time. So I feel like, personally, therapy is fantastic for any child to be in, even if there is nothing going on, because even a happy child can have a hard day.
Exactly. Therapy should be a lot less stigmatized than it is currently, because there are resources available for a variety, all of the situations. There is therapy available, and resources that are not being properly utilized by people like the one that we've just sat through 20 minutes of footage of. There are resources that are available if someone is experiencing things like these unacceptable thoughts and urges.
And don't get me wrong, when I say it's respectable that they step away, I still think it's disgusting. I still would not associate with these types of people. I don't want them to exist. And I don't mean that I wish they would disappear off the face of the planet, you know, let them get help and all those things. But I wish that these gross feelings and thoughts just didn't exist, because so many children we would not be systems.
We would not have this channel or these trauma disorders if people with these urges simply never had them.
So while we don't wish harm on, well, maybe. While we don't wish harm on the people that are seeking help for this, we just wish that I don't even want to call it a mental illness. I don't know what to call it, but if it didn't exist, the world would be a much better place. And I also want to say, as you've seen us disgusted and reacting, this is the worst case scenario for a system.
Exactly. This is the worst case scenario of what could happen if you are a parent with D.I.D. I mean, of course, there's, you know, worst case scenarios, but this is up there. This is not what the majority of parents with D.I.D. are like.
Or just systems in general. Like,
exactly.
Some systems are not parents, but they are in childcare, and they're teachers, and they are not dangerous. We are not dangerous. We are disgusted by this. This is gross and awful and negligent for them to put themselves back into a situation where they would be dealing with children.
And unsafe for the child. Oh my God.
But this is one thing that I wanted to just touch on, because systems in general that are getting help, that are just living their life, are not violent. They're not dangerous. They're not thinking these thoughts. This is disgusting and a worst case scenario. And I hope their child gets taken away, because this is an unsafe situation. And I hope they actually get the help that they need, because it's unsafe for them to be around children, and they keep putting themselves in the way of children, really.
Exactly. Even if it's court ordered.
Which it should be. At this point, it should be.
It should be.
So this was a heavy video, but I just want to say thank you so much for watching. We have opened up our memberships. So to become legally a goblin, I can't remember the other two. But to become legally a goblin, it's part of our membership. You just have to pay the lowest tier. You get a shout out, and
please definitely practice some self-care if you made it this far in the video, because I'm gonna go sit down and eat some chocolate after this, because dear Lord, this was a lot. This was a lot to handle as a trauma survivor, as a parent, as someone who goes to therapy and seeks treatment under mental distressing things. We've never had thoughts like that, and we would never do things like that to our child. So to witness, even if it's across the world, this is horrifying. And we are very worried for that poor kid. The Australian CPS, do your thing. Allegedly, they are located in this area of Australia. I don't know where that is, because we are not from Australia. But if anyone out there watching is, it is important that CPS knows of things like this, if you catch my drift. Because this is a very unsafe situation. And no, we did not make this video with the intention of drama. We wanted to speak more about the dissociative aspect of this. and to talk about what an anomalous kind of behavior that is, because very few of us parents with dissociative disorders have these urges, and many people would make assumptions. Many people have made assumptions, especially towards me even. People assume that just because someone has a trauma disorder, they are going to do something like that. I see a lot of people saying the phrase of hurt people. And honestly, I feel like that's just a bad experience that has been taken too far into a saying, because that is not a guarantee.
I feel like hurt people is just talking about the people that are hurt that never seek help. Because both of us have sought help. Both of us have done a ton of system work, a ton of trauma processing, like
self-behavioral analysis, therapeutic behavioral analysis.
Like we have done the work, and we have dug our heels in and refused to create cycles because of the phrase hurt people. Like, it's not always true. I feel like the majority of the time that is just a saying for people who have not sought help.
Healed people don't behave like this person does. So thank you all again for watching. Again, please take care of yourselves after witnessing this atrocity. If you'd like to support our channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing makes you become a goblin, so you should do that. Tap the bell notification if you want to know when we post something new.
And to legally become a goblin, click the membership button, check it out.
And we will see you all in the next video.